in our cast post. So for our first metal, Parapost XP, this is ideal for your slim or multi-rooted teeth, or if you're doing a multi-rooted core buildup. This X shape pattern, this is going to be for your improved retention, cement venting, resistance to rotation. This is made of titanium alloy, so this is going to be a very strong material to work with. Superior tensile retention. It's parallel-sided for a stress-free fit, which is important in making sure, again, that life of the restoration. The size is stamped on the head, and there are seven sizes in the Parapost XP. The XH, so this one has the rounded head design and anti-rotational grooves. These rounded edges here, they minimize those stress points of the restoration. And the undercut slotted head locks onto core materials really well. Again, this X-shaped pattern is going to be for that improved retention and cement venting and resistance to rotation. Again, parallel-sided for stress-free fit. It's color-coded, and this one comes in 7 sizes as well. XT is a little bit different, so this is going to be your passive and active metal posts, which these are really great for wide or short canals or ones with sclerotic dentin. Much like the XH there, we have the rounded head to minimize some of those stress points, undercut slotted locks on the core materials, low profile interrupted threads in the coronal section. And then again, we're going to have that passive X-shape retention in the apical section. So that's going to increase resistance to rotation. The XT are a little different. They come in 6 sizes, and they do require different Parapost drills as well. So our Parapost cast post system, this is one I don't see a whole lot of, to be quite honest, but it is something that we do offer. On the next slide here, this is a little bit better to kind of give you an idea. This is going to be more time consuming because when you're placing or when you're doing the Parapost cast post, you have to take an impression and actually send it in. So this is a 2-visit ordeal when dealing with the cast post technique. But real quickly here, the post face preparation is prepared with your Parapost drill. You're going to put the impression post in there and make an impression. And then you're going to have your provisional crown with temporary posts. That's going to be your next temp post that you put in there. And then you're going to place the wax up with burnout post. And finally, you're going to have your final cast post and core. But like I said, this one I don't see as much of. And again, it is time consuming. So, but it's good to know that at least we have this system and then this cast post as well. And then for our options, we have really great introductory kits for each and every one of our post systems, conveniently and cleverly organized, easily stored. And then I'm going to actually throw this over to my lovely friend Jeff to go through our fiber posts.
Okay, so we have 2 different types of fiber posts. We have the Fiber Lux and the Taper Lux, which is an 04 tapered post. Next slide, please. When do we place fiber posts? So, there's always been a big debate about some people love fiber, some people love metal, some people won't use fiber at all. Back when Pearson first started out, fiber posts were very, very brittle. They broke a lot. And they've come a long way. And this is how I kind of explain it to the doctors. They've come a long way with strength and style. So when do we place fiber posts? We place it basically for cosmetic purposes. I mean, I do have people that use it in the anterior as well, but for most of the time, or for the posterior as well, but for most of the time it's placed in the anterior to help in the cosmetic aspect of things. Next slide, please. Again, metal versus fiber. You have a couple questions you got to ask when you're looking what type of post to place. Are cosmetics important? And typically that's going to come into play with the anterior. Is the patient at higher risk than normal of fracture? Are all fundamental posts and core conditions present? Kind of like Melissa was talking about earlier. Do we have the right atmosphere to place a post? And do we have adequate ferrule, like she mentioned earlier? Next slide. Fiber posts are very good aesthetically because they're going to reduce that shadow effect. They have a high degree of flexibility, where a metal post doesn't have the flexibility that a fiber post has. So if a tooth flexes with a metal post, it's either got one choice. It's not going to flex. It's going to break. Where this is going to flex a little bit with the tooth structure. You have a chemical bondability, and you can dual cure the fiber post because of the transfer of the curing light. Next slide. This just gives you an example of the aesthetic aspect of it, comparing a metal post with the dark shading compared to the fiber post, where you get that aesthetic white shading like people want nowadays. Next slide. So this is very important with our posts. It's a lot different than a lot of the other fiber posts out there. A lot of the ones that you'll see look like a toothpick. This one is a little different. We have the ball heads. So the round head is going to reduce the stress points of the core material. So a core material is going to shrink as it cures. And this is going to allow it to wrap around that ball head without having any kind of stress points. You get the greatest surface area for the adhesion with those ball heads. It's hard to see in this picture, but you have the anti-rotational flat portions. The undercuts are going to lock that core material in to make sure you got a solid foundation there. Fiberlux is very radio opaque. That's very important for the fiber posts, so they can turn it into the insurance companies to show the post being placed in there. You got the parallel passive design with the cuts there, the ledges, retention ledges for the manual retention, as well as the fiber. You'll see in another slide here is micro etched for the retention there too. The retention. I don't know what I'm going to say, to be honest with you. Next slide. There we go. So you got the macro and micro retention. So the rough and post surface is going to allow the cement to adhere to the post very well, as far as the retention ledges as well too. So you're going to hit that macro retention. Next slide. This just explains the head design and where you're going to get those stress points. And you could see in the Christmas tree type of post, you're going to have the pointed areas on there when that dentin is going, or that when the core material is going to cure, it's going to shrink and going to create stress points. And that's where you could have issues with the restoration down the road, where our ball head design is going to minimize those stress points, allow it to lock around that ball head and make it for a superior design. Next slide. And we're talking about radio opacity, and this is just kind of comparing some of our competitors compared to the Fiberlux and Taperlux. We recently, I want to say it was probably 2 years ago now, increased the radio opacity of our posts. So radio opacity is a very big thing, and we're second to none on that. So next slide. With the fiber post, you get the round head design like we talked about. You got a color-coded band. Parallel with this is the Fiberlux, the parallel sided design, and you got your retention ledges. Next slide. Taperlux is a little bit different. You still have the color-coded band, but it's an 04 taper. It's designed for narrow canals. That's going to help in that. What I've found, it's very regional as far as if they're using Taperlux or Fiberlux. Frenchie up in Montreal a couple of years ago did a presentation, a very spirited presentation at our national sales meeting, that he was very dead set against people who need to use Taper Lux. I found in my area, it's more Fiber Lux. And the reasoning is people feel that it creates less stress on the canal, less outer stress on the canal. So it's very regional, I found, but we do have them both available. The difference as far as going back to the kits that Melissa was talking about, the Taper Lux only comes in 4 different sizes. You don't have the large size and you don't have the smaller sizes because the taper will get too small at the tip, where the Fiber Lux will come in all the sizes available. So next slide. So Parapost drills, you have, there's 3 different types of drills. The main drills you're going to run into for your XP, your XH, and your Fiber Lux, parallel-sided products that are going to use the same drills, which is great. So if you have a doctor using an XH and a Fiber Lux, they don't need to get two separate drills to do that. They can still use the same type of drills. What we find out there is doctors use these drills for years and years and years, which when they get dull, it creates post space that's not accurate. So you could have a little wobble with your post. So this is a very important thing to make them to understand. They need to change your drills regularly to create a good post space. You have your threaded post, your XT, that is going to have their own set of drills. And then obviously your Taper Lux is going to be a tapered post, so it's going to be a tapered drill, so it's going to have their own set of drills. So that's our drill offerings. Next slide. And this just goes to the colors. Most people will order in colors and not sizes. So it's good to understand the colors. And the brown and the yellow are not available in Taper Lux, and it's either the green, but the blue, red, purple, and black are in the Taper Lux family. And then Fiber Lux has all the colors available. And this was I will say this was a very interesting thing, because I think I've called Pearson on this a few times, is the different lengths of the posts. I honestly, before this, didn't realize that we had different lengths of posts. So I've had a couple doctors over the years ask, saying, I need a long post or I need a short post. And this was very interesting to see the different lengths in there. One thing that is on here that I haven't really talked about is fiber white. You're still I still see a lot of fiber white out there. Fiber white is our pre-Fiber Lux post. Quite frankly, if you see it, I try to switch it out because it doesn't have the values as far as strength. It's not as radio opaque. It's a lot more expensive than Fiber Lux. So my opinion, I like switching it out because eventually somebody will. And so I'd rather get them into the newer product. Next slide. Now we're going to talk about Paracore. Paracore is a core material that actually has 3 different indications for it. So what the core material is used for, it's to build tooth structure for future restorations with a crown when there is not enough tooth structure to properly retain the crown. Next slide. So it comes in 2 different ways. You have your 25 ml cartridge, and then you have the 5 ml syringe. Now, most of them we're going to see out there is going to be the 5 ml syringe, but I do still see some of the 25 ml cartridges. Key features of the 25 ml syringe. This is only rated for the post cement and the core buildup. It gives you a monoblock, meaning that you're using the same material all the way through. It saves time because of that monoblock. The big thing about Paracore, and any doctor that's used it loves it because it cuts like dentin. They love just the way it handles. Ideal consistency. It doesn't slump. Very stackable. It's a dual cured product, so you can either go light cure or the chemical cure. It does release fluoride and is very radio opaque, and it comes in 2 different shades, white and dentin. So the 5 ml syringe is designed for 3 different indications: post buildup and crown bridge cement. Again, you get that monoblock where it's going to save time, but again, it's going to cut like dentin. Great consistency. This comes in three different shades. You have with two set times. You have a regular set, which comes in a white and dentin shade, and then you also have the slow set, which comes in a dentin or translucent. I don't see a ton of slow set out there, but some people that like to take the time want that slow set, so it's available. And as far as the indications as well too, the crown and bridge part of it for the cement, I don't have a lot of doctors using that, but it's good to know that they can minimize the products that they have in their office if they need to. And that's the good thing about this product being the multiple indications is you don't need a post cement and a different core buildup. Use the same product, you minimize your inventory, and you can use the same product for it. So next slide. So we're going to get on to Mr. Booker's favorite product of Colteen, Paraforms. So these are, you get doctors that use these and they love them. And then you get doctors that won't try them. And these are basically, in a layman's term, these are molds. And so these are, if you go to the next slide, Melissa, you can see the different shapes of the core formers. And all these are is different type of molds that you're going to load up with paracord and then use these instead of hand forming the core buildup. You're going to use these as a pre-formed mold for the core buildup, and I'll show you later on in a couple slides how that works. Next slide. So one thing that paracord really it does a great job with compared to our competitors here is our strength, our flexural and compressive strength. And if you look at the Lexicor or the core paste, we are better than them in a lot of in the flexural and compressive strength. So it's a big deal. You know, I know those are two big products that are used out there, and you know, once you get them on that, they'll realize that paracord is a superior product. So. And this is dealing with film thickness. So film thickness is important because if you have a post in your canal and you have a high film thickness, meaning that you have a thick product around that that post, you could be susceptible to some wobble of that post, some instability in there. But if you have a low film thickness where you get a thin, very, very thin layer, then that post is going to be cemented really solidly in there, and it's not going to wobble on you or have the susceptibility for it. So if you look at our film thickness is very, very low compared to the ones out there. So we don't have that issue. So one thing that we recommend for our bond strength is using Parabond. And this is always a sticking point with people because they're used to using a quicker technique where we got the non-rinse conditioner and then the A and B bond. But if you look at the reasoning why we do this is the bond strength compared to the other ones out there that are more of a one-step process is way superior. I mean, you look at the enamel and the dentin in this chart, and we blow their bond strength out of the water when we use Parabond. So you know, that's something that they might be resistant to use, but you just need to explain the reasoning why they're using this. Next slide. So this just gives you a step-by-step on how you're actually doing a post and core buildup. The first one, you're going to be using the non-rinse conditioner, put it in the canal. You know, you're going to air dry it for 2 seconds. Then you go to the AB bond. You're going to brush that in the canal for 30 seconds. Again, air dry for 2 seconds. And that's when you're going to put your paracord and your post in your space, light cure it. And then that's when you're ready to do your core buildup and then light cure after that. Next slide. So I'm gonna walk through, there's a couple slides here that's gonna kind of walk through pictures of how the whole process actually works. So if you have this situation clinically where tooth fracture, you know, we could use our Companere, but we're not going to here. So we're gonna build it up. So next slide, Melissa. So preparation of a post base with a parapost size 4.5 drill. Again, we're having the drill fit fit the space and not the other way around. Trial seat into the Parapost FiberLux post. This is where we're going to use our conditioner, apply it to the post space. We're going to remove the excess conditioner with a paper point. And then we're going to coat the post with cement and apply the cement into the post space with a paper point or spiral. And this is where we're going to put the post in the space. And we're going to light cure it. And this is where the paraforms come into play. So you select the appropriate paraform core former, and then you're going to fill it up with paracore, and all you're going to do is then place that core former with the paracore right on top of the post. And then you're going to cure that, and how you get the paraform off, then you just zip it with a burr. It's a little plastic rubbery product that just comes right off, and now you have your completed post with your core buildup. Next slide. So this is showing you the IFU for the crown cement. Very similar. All you're doing is going to take your conditioner and you're going to condition the core. Air dry for 2 seconds. Put your AB bond on the core for 30 seconds again. Air dry it for 2 seconds. And then you're going to fill up the crown with your paracore. Seat the crown on top of your core buildup. Remove the excess, light cure it, and polish it up. So when you look at how paracore, you get your crown and bridge cement, your core buildups, your post cement, it is a phenomenal product to minimize the amount of inventory that an office is going to have with a great product. I mean, every one of these indications, it does a tremendous job for. So feel very comfortable that you can walk in with paracore and have a great product. It's probably one of our best products that Cool Team has. So, and then there's a YouTube video of just showing a whole post and core buildup. It's kind of lengthy, so if you'd like to watch that afterwards, it gives you a good snapshot of it. And that's it.
Nice job, you guys.
Okay. Yeah, excellent work, you guys. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I have a few. Okay. I mean, always, this is a nice review. Like, I can never get enough of the Farrell effect, and just reviewing that and really trying to wrap my head around that and be able to explain it to a doctor and review that during my presentation. Melissa, thank you for pointing out that that's on the new brochure. We'll be referring to that. I think also, Luke, like you said, we need to really just ask, when's the last time you replaced those drills? I like the word wobble. I mean, explaining that whole idea, and if you're having that issue, it's probably the drill. Let's replace those. The lengths, yeah, wow. I admit I had no idea. So another reason why we're doing this. It's awesome. Pointing out switching fiber white to a fiber lux. Awesome. I like that you showed the cheat sheet that we have. I mean, those things are gold. I keep those in my demo kit and I pull that out every time. It really shows the doctor that it's not necessarily any kind of new idea. We're just, here's exactly what you do. You're doing that, but maybe with different products. Step-by-step card. You talked about superior strength in the monoblock. One like real life scenario situation, like during my pitch of paracore and my elevator pitch, I always throw out, and I think I've talked about this several times, but I always ask the doctor, how many times do you have a patient call and they need to re-cement their crown? Typically, I mean, they're busy. They're filling in their schedule with like maybe a 10-minute block in between patients because they just lost their crown. It needs to be simply re-cemented. However, then the patient comes in and that crown has the buildup and the post in the crown, and the patient wants miracle dentistry. when really maybe we can't even save that tooth, but the doctor has to put number 7 back on for the patient. I always talk about the fact that our material is going to be the strongest because we create that monoblock from the cement to the post to the re-cement of the crown. It's really kind of an aha moment for the doctor and helps to close the deal because that happens very often. What else did I write? Remove the excess. So the step-by-step placement, that was awesome. Those pictures were great. Removing the cement, somebody told me one time, and it was also a great point. If we don't remove the excess bonding in the canal, then we have issues with the post fully seating. So great tip, removing the excess bonding agent. Good job, you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent work. Meredith, fantastic feedback from you. Melissa, you're just a natural presenter. Just, I mean, you have such a, like,
sure.
Really, yeah, just a great flow. The way that you go through the bullet points and then you do your commentary off bullet points, again, just really natural, easy to listen to, easy to understand, and just great flow. Excellent explanation of the crown to root post proportions. That's such a big deal. The biomechanical explanation, the furrow. I mean, if you ever have a dentist go, well, my posts are coming out. You know, one of the first questions I always ask is, you know, did you achieve proper furrow? So I'm glad that you really went into depth on that and hit on that. And that's a big part of it, you know, being able to intelligently explain the biomechanical properties that are required in order to get a post to work. Loops, fantastic job. Excellent work. I mean, just overall, off script, telling stories that resonate with all of us. You know, as far as switching out the fiber white, great point there. I mean, we offer a better post at a better price. So yeah, if you find fiber white, get it out of there because somebody else will. You hit the nail right on the head there. Other notes, you said slow set. I agree. Yeah, I don't really talk about it a whole lot unless I'm at a dental school or I bring it up to anybody that's a first-time user of Paracore. Because if they're trying to cement the post at the same time they are building up a core, one of two things can happen with our regular set. They're just not flowing correctly. So if, let's say you're at a dental office, first time using Paracore, they're hook, line, and sinker on using one product for cementation and post buildup or core buildup. So maybe the assistant isn't on the same page at the same time as the dentist is. So you know, you just with that Paracore set's really fast. You have less than a minute before that product starts to set up. So they have to coat the post or place Paracore in the canal, seat it, and then if the doctor's going to light cure it, they're going to need to get another tip. And that's how they're going to have to do their post build up. Or they can just they can stack their core build up material right on top of it. So I would say for first time users, that slow set gives them enough time to actually get into the whole flow of Paracore, cementation, and core buildup without freaking out and in a more comfortable way and really get kind of used to the procedure involved with that. So that's one thing. Some doctors are just like, yeah, I don't care about using 2 tips, but I think the goal is to use just 1 tip, cement the post, build the core. When it comes to dental schools, students don't know what the heck they're doing. So I always lead with flow set, Paracore, and dental schools. They just don't have enough time with the our Paracore regular set. That's my editorial. Those are all my notes. Great job, you guys. Way to finish this up. Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
That is fantastic.
Okay. I'll tell you what. It is 9:41. I know Mr. Crawford is going to be helping his dad out here at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to give him a quick call, and we'll make sure everybody's able to jump on that and just say hello. And then let's jump off of that and just jump on to a regular